alcohol-related accidents. And this is not that presentation, okay? April 6, 2019, last spring, I was arrested for driving under the influence, DUI, and I think you all know that. And I'm going to start with the apology, because you deserve better than that from the people who are supposed to be your role models. And I let you down that day, and I let the community down that day, and I am deeply sorry for it. So I apologize to you and to the community and to the staff and to everybody for that transgression. Now let's start with the educational part of this. What you need to know about me, a little bit about my family history. And the reason for this is you need to understand there's a genetic component to alcoholism and to problem drinkers and alcohol-related problems. There is a genetic component to it. It runs on both sides of my family. Addiction, not just alcohol, whether it is prescription painkillers or primarily alcohol. It runs on both sides of my family. My mother is Irish Catholic. My uncles they look like the fighting leprechaun from Notre Dame. I mean, those are my uncles, okay? And they drink a great deal. On my father's side, it's the same thing. So as you understand that, I'm going to segue into another piece here, and that is, we all have you, me, even your teachers, have three lives. We have our public lives. This is my public life. You see this public life. It's the suit and the tie, and it's every day. It's what I do. I come to work, I show up, I do my job, I go home, I go to the store, I go to ball games, I go to concerts. That's my public life. This is what you see. Then we also have our private lives. And that's the part that not everybody sees, but our friends see it, our family sees it, you know. I am married. I have 2 stepdaughters, I have 3 daughters. I'm surrounded by estrogen. I can't escape it. That's my private life, okay? I go to soccer games. I go to basketball games. I go to volleyball games. I chauffeur kids around. That's my private life, okay? So if our public lives are private lives, we also then have our secret lives. And those are the parts of our lives that we don't show anyone, okay? We don't show anyone. We hide them, and we keep them a secret. And those are the parts of our lives that cause us harm and make us or keep us sick. I will give you an example. They're the parts we don't talk about. Remember I just said there's a genetic predisposition to alcohol and alcohol-related problems and problem drinkers and alcoholics. And we don't talk about that part. We don't. My dad was one of 12. Big family. Big family. I have 65 first cousins. Okay? Large family. Okay? My uncle was the youngest of the uncles, the youngest of 12, and he died a few years ago. He fell down the steps. Okay? That's how he passed away in the middle of the night. He fell down the steps. What nobody told anybody was he was dead drunk at the time. Okay? My godfather died a couple years ago, and he died probably 10 years too early because he was a heavy drinker. My aunt, 71 years old, 3 years ago, out walking around the lake, not here, we're from Iowa, walking around the lake in our little hometown, and she fell and she hit her head. 71, you fall, you don't get your arms out front, you hit your head, it's a problem. They take you to the hospital. She was bleeding, the whole thing. 9 o'clock in the morning, she was out for her morning walk. No big deal, right? Except she had a 0.16 alcohol content, blood alcohol content, at 9 o'clock in the morning. And nobody knew she drank. that's the secret life, and that's the secret life that made her sick and kept her sick. And your takeaway from that is our secrets keep us sick. And if you don't share them with somebody, you can't get better. And so I had that secret life. I will tell you that. I'm not the textbook alcoholic. Textbook alcoholic is this: you experiment with alcohol in high school. You sneak it from your parents' liquor cabinet. You have an older cousin buy it from you. You get it at a pasture party. In my day, it was out at the hall of confinement. Okay, it was Iowa. That was what we did. But you experiment in high school. You binge drink and abuse it in college. And then after college, you take one of two forks in the road. You get a job, you meet a wife or a husband, and you get a mortgage and children in a minivan. That's one way, and you can't drink anymore because you have too many responsibilities. The other way is your drinking continues to escalate while all of your friends don't, and then you become a problem drinker. And that leads to problems with your family and with your job. And eventually, hopefully, you get help and recover from that. But that is generally the path of the disease. That was not my path. 20 years ago, if you'd come to my house and to watch the game, we'd have had to go to the store to get beer. I didn't keep alcohol in the house. Didn't drink very often, socially. But about 10 years ago, I got divorced. Very depressive episode. Like you, I suffer from some anxiety and depression. And when you suffer from depression, you have a depressive episode, you want to do things to make you feel better. And so I started drinking. And I started drinking often, and it just progressively got worse and worse. And I drank to self-medicate, okay? I drank to make myself feel better, even though drinking doesn't help you feel better, doesn't help you forget. It makes things worse. Now, life happens and things go by, and on April 5th of last year, I learned something that it was very upsetting to me. It impacted a member of my family I'm very close to. And I did not take it very well. I did not handle it like a grown adult should handle things. And that led to heavy drinking. And that carried over into April 6th. And I will tell you that on April 6th, I didn't consciously think this, but I knew that whole day something really bad was going to happen. I knew it would. And I probably was hoping it would. Because I was in a lot of pain and very depressed at the time. Okay? So at about 8:20 that night, when I saw the lights and heard the sirens, I've never in my life, we all have seen that, or been in a car where you've seen the lights, or I've never, my first thought, your first thought always is, oh, crap. Something like that. Okay? When I saw those lights, my first reaction was relief, because I knew that was probably a bad thing, but it was the best bad thing that could have happened to me that night. And I knew that one way or another, my life would have to be different after that moment, that I was going to have to make a change. And so I did. And I think if I hadn't made that change, I wouldn't be here today. So let's talk a little bit more about the statistics of alcoholism. 8% of the people in this country are problem drinkers, so you do the math. there are 1,000 kids in this high school, that means 80 of them will become problem drinkers. So in here, 60. So for most of you, this isn't a problem. I'm talking to the 60 of you who it might be a problem for at some point in your lives. And I'm not talking about just prom, and I'm not talking about graduation, I'm not talking about summer, I'm talking about when you're 25, when you're 30, when you're 50. Most problem drinkers don't start that at 46. They started at 14. Okay? 40% of the people in this country admit to having binge drank in the last 30 days. 40%. Alcohol is the number 4 most harmful substance to your body, and it's the number 1 most harmful substance in society. It kills more people every year than every other drug combined. It kills more people each year than every other drug combined. It will kill 85,000 people in the United States this year. Now the health impacts. It will impact your sleep. For a while, I drank nearly every night. And I woke up every morning feeling horrible. Just horrible. And so I will tell you, it's nice to wake up now and feel good. Okay? After I stopped drinking, I lost 35 pounds. It will impact your weight. It is highly caloric, and you will gain a lot of weight when you start drinking, if you start drinking. So I stopped drinking, and I lost 30, now I'm getting right 10 of it back, but I lost 35 pounds. And it compromises your decision making, because no sane individual says, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to drink to a point where I'm impaired, and then I'm going to drive. It impacts, it's why that joke, here, hold my beer, is so funny. Because whatever you're going to attempt while you hand your beer to somebody is something you should not attempt. And you should not attempt it because you are impaired mentally and physically. But in this country, it is extremely socially permissible. We live in an alcohol-centric society. It's everywhere. It is pervasive and it is permissive. It is the only drug where you're actually probably shamed for not using it. People who don't drink get those glances. It is everywhere. Jesus' first miracle was making wine. It's everywhere. Okay? And this applies to both men and women. And women more so. Women are being marketed in the media wine. And you've seen the wine bottles, and then they've got the glass that inserts into it, and then the glass says, I'm only going to have one glass, and it's sitting on the bottle. You've seen those glasses. It is very socially acceptable now for the woman who works all day and then has to take care of the kids all night to come home, pour a glass of wine, make dinner, clean up after dinner, pour a glass of wine, unwind, pour a glass of wine before bed, and then all of a sudden that glass of wine is an empty bottle of wine. And that is socially permissible and marketed now. And the reason it's marketed is that in the 1990s, the sale of beer flatlined. And if anybody tasted beer and had their first beer, very few people will say, I took the first sip of my dad's beer and I thought, wow, that really tastes good. Because it doesn't. Your first taste of beer is, ew, why would anybody drink that? So beer sales started flatlining in the 1990s, and beer companies and companies that made alcohol thought, well, Scotch drinkers were dying, and so they had to do something to expand their market share, and so there were two ways to go, and they went both ways. Women and youth, okay? Just like tobacco companies did. And so you started seeing wine being marketed to women, and there are tons of products that are, you don't know it, but are marketed to you, okay? Why do you think we have cherry flavored vodka and coconut and vanilla flavored vodka? Because vodka by itself doesn't taste very good. It's what you mix it with. So if you have cherry flavored, you can have a cherry Coke or a vanilla Coke. It tastes just like what you could buy out of the vending machine, or used to be able to buy when you could buy soda in the vending machine here. It's what you can get from the fountain down at Casey's. And that's a marketing to use. So please just be aware of that. The starter drinks in high school escalate in college, and the statistic you need to be aware of as you go off into college is that each year 1,800 college students die of alcohol-related deaths. 1,800 college students die of alcohol-related deaths each year. Okay. Now let me talk to the young ladies in the audience, because I have 5 daughters, and the statistics say that 20 to 30% of female college students will be sexually assaulted in college. And for my own family, I will tell you that's held true. 70,000 college females every year are sexually assaulted. And alcohol is the #1 date rape drug of choice. Everywhere people go, girls go, women go, they will take that drink, they'll take their cup with them, they'll hand over, somebody watch my drink. I don't want somebody to put anything in my drink that would impair me to the point where I'd be vulnerable. But what will impair you to the point where you will be vulnerable is already in your drink. You ordered it, you paid for it, and you're willingly consuming it, ladies. And you're probably drinking vodka and cranberry juice, or vodka and Coke, or vanilla, whatever, or gin and tonic, or something of that, and you're drinking liquor, okay? And the boy you're with is drinking Bud Light, okay? He weighs 210. You weigh 145. Okay, maybe he weighs 240, you weigh 155, I don't know, okay? But you are much smaller than he is. You will not metabolize what you drink as fast as he does, and you will drink more alcohol per ounce than he does. And you will put yourself in a situation where you could be at risk. So that is my cautionary tale to you. Ladies, you can't drink with men. Don't try. Please be safe when you go to college. Back to, for 92% of you, this talk is not even necessary. For 8% of you, it might be. And I'm going to circle back to the beginning now, and I'm going to tell you, you will know you have a problem long before anybody else knows you have a problem. And you will deny you have a problem, and that is the baffling and powerful nature of alcohol. Because you will deny you have a problem over and over and over. But I will tell you, if you are drinking to numb yourself, or to medicate, or to forget about something, you have a problem. If you have to rationalize your drinking, it's only it's because it's only on the weekends, it's just this one time, then you have a problem. And I will tell you this, if someone approaches you and is concerned about your drinking, they're right, you're wrong, and you've got a problem. But it will likely take something to prompt you to do something about that problem and to get some help. And hopefully, when that bad thing happens for you, hopefully it never does, but for those of you who it will happen, hopefully it's the best bad thing that can happen to you. And you're as lucky as I was, because a lot of bad things could happen that night. And they didn't. And I thank God for that every day. So, we got some time. Do we want to do questions, or do we just want to send them back? Do you want questions, or do you want to just go back? That makes me feel really good. Okay.